Hey y'all, it's your girl. You already know, and you know I'm back with another reaction, right? Because you know I'm the only channel over here that's gonna give y'all update and give y'all the best reaction out here, right? But look, let's get into this Lori Daybell'S trial. This is Tammy, y'all. Tammy, this beautiful woman right here, was Chad Daybell's wife. Once he got with Lori Daybell's Doomsday Vallow mom, his world just turned with his marriage right here with Tammy. Tammy was shot at, thought it was firecrackers. They couldn't get her because she don't hang outside. So they tried to allegedly said that she died in the bed. Now y'all know this is for newspaper criticism, comment purposes, right? And everything that's allegedly because I wasn't there, right? But look, I did find a 911 phone call when the decision that Tammy or someone had to make. Okay, let's listen.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we're on the record on case CR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Noreen Vallow. The states here present, the defense as well as the defendant are all in attendance, and the state's continuing with the presentation of its case in chief. We left off with a witness on the stand yesterday, Ms. Williams. Is the state ready to proceed with continued direct examination, Ms. Blake?
Yes, Your Honor. Do you want soft?
Sorry about that, y'all. Commercial. Got to have your commercials, okay? But I'm not gonna play it down, sorry.
Is the defense ready to
Let me
proceed?
enlarge the screen so y'all can.
Okay, let's go ahead and have our jurors brought in, please, Mr. Bailiff.
Let's skip it a little bit, y'all. Let's skip it right here.
Don't know the exact amount.
And so, the when did you first hear Chad talk about his near-death experience?
I actually don't recall a time for when that happened.
Was it something before his book was published?
I believe he probably brought it up in conversation. We hold a lot of that stuff to be, personal. So when people talk about their spiritual experiences, I don't write that down.
But yet Chad was not keeping his experiences personal. He was writing books and going to conferences.
Correct.
So he was trying to make money off of his, what he'd call a spiritual experience.
That's a complicated answer.
Yeah. So you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't write down your spiritual experiences and try to make money off it. But that's what Chad Daybell did.
That's either a yes or no question for me.
Okay. And so these conferences that Chad Daybell would go to speak at, would you go to those?
No, I did not.
What were some of those conferences called? Do you know?
I know some of them were called Preparing a People.
And he would go and try to sell his books there.
Yes.
And he would go and talk to others about his spiritual experiences.
I believe so.
And you would talk to Chad and your sister about what he was doing.
Sometimes, but it didn't always come up in conversations.
Was your sister going to these conferences with him, or was he going alone?
No, he went alone mostly. Tammy didn't travel with him to those because she was working and raising children.
So she had a job, taking care of the kids, and Chad was out trying to sell books.
Correct.
And do you know where he would go to try to sell his books?
I didn't track him.
What would Tammy or Chad tell you?
That he just had conferences all over the place. He's been to Idaho, Utah, Arizona. I don't know what other states he went to.
Okay. But those are the three that you remember.
I do remember those.
Right. And did your sister help publish these books?
Yes, she did.
And so that was after the Spring Book Company went bankrupt. They tried to make it go again.
Yeah, they still tried to write books, and they found other distributors to, help out with distribution of their books or of other authors' books.
Okay. And so did you ever hear Chad and Tammy with you? Excuse me. Did you ever hear Tammy say, Chad, quit trying to sell books, go get a real job?
No, I was never present for any conversation like that.
And so Tammy, rather than say, go get a real job, she was supportive of his book selling endeavors.
I would think so, yes.
In fact, you say she was a computer whiz. Would she help him publish these books?
Yes.
And was she in charge of the graphic design of the book?
Yes.
And so she was an instrumental part in getting these books from Chad's thoughts to publishing and selling.
Yeah.
And you say you've read one of them.
Well, one of the ones that you were referring to, but I've read some of his others, yes.
Oh, okay. And how would you describe the books that you've read?
Most of them are fictional about what they feel like life could be like for the second coming. It's almost like the same kind of a genre as a dystopian novel that a lot of teenagers read, but his was more geared towards religious aspects, but it was all fiction.
Okay. And would he advertise his books as fiction?
I would believe so. As far as some of them not. It just depends on which book. He wrote several.
Were you aware that one time he said, everything that I've read is true, or everything that I've written is true?
I don't know about that statement.
Okay. He never said that to you?
Personally, I don't recall him ever saying that.
Okay. Now, these books are, the content of them, it wasn't something that you were enamored with.
I'm an avid reader, and so I read lots of different things. I would read some to support him, but I also teach school, and I don't have time to always read all the things that get published and put out there.
Yeah. Your sister Tammy, did she believe what Chad was writing was true?
I don't know.
Did she tell you that it was fiction? It's really just made up.
Well, a lot of it was based on what he probably felt would happen in the future, but it was still a fictional story with.
Okay. this
Your voice, your message.
Okay. Ooh, she ain't saying too much, y'all. She's not saying too much now. The young lady not saying too much on who she is. I'm trying to find out who she is. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna skip it a little bit because he ain't talking about me.
Would that be?
Your Honor, the state will call Officer Allie Greenhalch.
All right, now that the witness is sworn, let me just briefly inquire, because we have these simulcast locations and the audio's been released each day in this case. Have you listened to or reviewed in any way any of the trial testimony that's taken place thus far in this case?
I have not.
Okay, thank you for that response. When testifying, please make verbal responses to the questions and avoid talking at the same time as any attorney questioning you, so we can keep a clear record. With that in mind, Ms. Blake, you can inquire on direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Alyssa Greenhalgh, Alyssa, and the last name is Greenhalgh.
Where are you currently employed?
The Rexburg Police Department.
How long have you been employed with them?
A little over 2 years.
What is your current title or position?
Patrol officer.
Prior to working with Rexburg, did you hold another position as a law enforcement officer?
I did.
And where was that?
That was at the Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
Do you have any specialized training in order to be a peace officer?
I do. I've been through the Post Academy and I hold an intermediate patrol certificate.
Were you working in Fremont County for the Sheriff's Office on October 19th of 2019?
Yes.
Do you recall what shift you were working?
I believe I was a day shift officer.
How long had you been a police officer at that time?
Approximately 2 years.
Do you recall responding to the report of an unattended death?
Yes.
Where did you respond?
I responded to 202 North 1900 East in Salem.
Is that in Fremont County, Idaho?
It is.
Oh, well, hold on, y'all. Let me stop the commercial. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Sorry about that, YouTube. Didn't purposely do that. Trying to get this recorded.
Did you learn who the decedent was?
Yes.
Who was that?
Tammy Daybell?
Had you heard her name before?
I had not.
When you arrived on scene, who was present?
Chad Daybell and Garth Daybell were both present.
Did you make any observations when you first arrived?
Yes.
What were those?
Chad and Garth both met me in the living room. Chad seemed very distraught and was crying. Garth was a little bit more reserved and stayed pretty quiet.
When you respond, and I guess to back up, what is an unattended death?
An unattended death is basically somebody contacts police when they find a stranger or usually their loved one or family member that they know is deceased.
And is it generally if someone is not under a physician's care?
That's correct.
Had you responded to other death scenes before?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately how many?
Approximately 5 to 10.
When you are dispatched out to an unattended death, are you conducting an investigation?
Yes.
Are you looking for specific things as a law enforcement officer?
Yes.
What are some of the things that you're looking for?
As a first responder officer, we're looking for obvious signs of foul play, like disturbances at the scene, broken furniture, things pushed around, or obvious injuries on the body, like gunshot wounds, stab wounds, things like that.
When you first responded into the residence, did you notice any signs of a disturbance?
I did not.
Did you notice any signs of a break-in?
No.
At some point, did you observe the body of Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
Who told you where she was located?
Chad did.
Did he lead you to the location of the body?
Yes, he did.
And where was her body located?
Her body was in their bedroom on the bed.
Were you advised whether or not her body had been moved prior to your arrival?
Yes, I was told that it had been moved.
And who told you that?
Chad.
When you respond out, do you obtain or request information from the individuals on scene?
I do.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
What did Chad tell you regarding the death of his wife?
He had told me she had woken up at approximately midnight with a coughing fit. She had vomited in the bedroom and then had gone into the bathroom down the hallway and had continued vomiting in the bathroom. He went into the bathroom to help her clean up and then had put her back to bed. They had both gone back to sleep. And then he said at about 5:40 a.m. he had felt the covers of the bed pull off of him and had looked over and noticed that Tammy had fallen off the bed. And he had told her to wake up, and when she didn't respond, he got up and turned the light on and saw that she had partially fallen off the bed and wasn't responsive.
And when you say partially fallen off the bed, did he give a description of how she was partially off the bed, which part of her body?
Yes, he described that her feet and legs had gotten caught in the sheets, so her feet were still up on the mattress, but her torso had fallen off the bed and her head was touching the floor.
And then he indicated that he and his son had moved the body back onto the bed?
That's correct.
Had they also covered the body up with blankets?
Yes.
And when you arrived on scene, is that the position you found her body in?
Yes.
When you arrived, was it apparent that Tammy was in fact deceased?
Yes.
Do you also request information from family members regarding a decedent's health?
I do.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes.
And did you request that information from Chad?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He told me that Tammy didn't like to see the doctor. She had had kind of a cold. She had fallen in the driveway approximately a month prior and had received care for that. But other than that, she didn't have any major medical issues or injuries that he had told me about.
Do you recall if Chad said anything to you about Tammy having shaking fits?
No.
Did he indicate anything to you about Tammy going through menopause?
I believe so, yes.
And do you recall if he told you that affected how she slept?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall if he said anything to you about Tammy having fainting spells?
No, he did not.
Do you recall if he said anything about her blood pressure?
I believe he did tell me that she had issues with her blood pressure.
I was 25 years old when I went into aging.
Hold on, y'all. They talk so slow.
At some point while you were
At some point while you were there, did anyone else respond to the scene?
Who was
Yes.
that?
Who was that?
The deputy coroner and the coroner both responded.
And at some point,
And at some point, was a mortician called as well?
Yes.
As part of your
As
job
part of your
duties,
job duties, do you make a determination whether or not to have an autopsy performed?
No.
As
As part of your investigation that day, did you reach out to some detectives?
I did.
Did you indicate to those detectives what you had noticed on scene?
Yes, I did.
At that time, had you made any observations of any suspicious activity?
No.
And were you basing part of your investigation in part on what Chad Daybell was relaying to you?
Yes.
Did Garth Daybell ever contradict his father while you were there?
No, he did not.
Did Garth Daybell offer any information to you?
No.
Did you end up taking photographs of the scene?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be shown States Exhibit 295A through L. These photos have previously been provided to defense counsel. And I have the official copy for the court as well. And I believe Your Honor has been provided with a courtesy copy as well.
I have, thank you.
And Officer Greenalt, if you will look through those photos. Do those appear to be an accurate depiction of what you saw that day?
Yes,
And did you in fact take those photos?
I did.
I would move for the admission of States Exhibit 295A through L.
Any objection?
Your Honor, due to the graphic nature of the photos, they may be more prejudicial than probative, so I'd lodge that objection.
All right, you want to make a response to that, Ms. Blake?
Your Honor, I would indicate that these are, the deputy or the officers indicated these are an accurate depiction of what she observed that day, and I think pursuant to case law, they are allowed to be shown.
All right, the court's considered the objection and also looking at whether under Rule 403 they should be excluded as being unnecessarily prejudicial. I do not find that they would be because they accurately depict the scene that the officer observed, and for that reason the objection's overruled, so exhibits 295A through L are admitted.
And Your Honor, I would ask for permission to publish those to the jury.
You can publish them, Ms. Blake.
And Your Honor, similar to the graphic photos of the children, the court took special precautions not to show those to the public. I don't know if the court wants to consider that as well.
Mr. Archibald, I did consider that. I was able to see these photos in advance just over the break and determine that I'll allow them to be displayed on the projector, even though they are graphic in nature.
Commercial, boy. Whew, Lord. They're not even saying nothing for no commercial.
Trying to make sure everyone else has the correct view. Officer Greenalch, what are we seeing in this photo?
This is a photo of the Taken from the entry of the bedroom of Tammy's body on the bed.
And that is in fact Tammy on the bed?
Yes.
And that is how you first located her?
Yes.
And in this next photo, what are we seeing there on the floor?
So there is a mat on the floor with a towel and then some clothing items from the closet.
At any point, did you observe anyone do anything with that towel?
Not that I recall.
And what is this photo depicting?
This is another photo of Tammy's body on the bed.
While you were present, did you get closer to observe Tammy's body?
I did.
And when you did you make specific observations?
Yes.
What were some of those observations?
She had some pink reddish foam on her mouth that was running down her cheek.
And is that what we're seeing in this photo here?
It is.
In the prior deaths you'd responded to, had you ever seen pink foam on someone's mouth?
No.
Do you know if you'd ever responded to a death where the cause was determined to be asphyxiation?
Not to my knowledge.
And is that similar to what we're seeing in this photo as well?
Yes.
Was this just a zoomed in picture of that?
Yes.
While you were on scene, before anyone else arrived, did you do anything to manipulate or move Tammy's body?
The only thing I did was check a pulse on her arm, but I didn't move her body in any way.
After others had arrived on scene, was Tammy's body moved?
Yes.
Is that done to assist with an assessment?
Yes.
Were you present while that was being done?
I was.
And is this a start of moving Tammy's body?
Yes.
Did you make any additional observations as you started this process?
I did.
And what were those?
As we moved the blanket down so that more of her body was visible, I did notice lividity on her back and legs.
And in this photo, are we again seeing that pink foam?
Yes.
I'm going to show States Exhibit 295J. In this photo, is this, again, a closer view of that pink foam?
Yes.
And at that time, was that one of the main observations that you had made with regard to Tammy's body?
It was.
Did you observe any bruising on Tammy's body?
Yes, she did have a small bruise on her arm.
And just by looking at that, were you able to determine how old or when that bruise would have been inflicted?
No, I was not.
Did you end up accompanying Tammy's body to the mortuary?
Yes.
Did you also take a photograph there?
I did.
And I'm going to show States Exhibit 295L. Is that an accurate depiction of the photo you took?
Yes.
And in this photo had the foam or the pink substance been removed from her face?
Yes, it had.
Join AA out.
You kind of have to get in shape, but during the course of that time, she was in great shape.
And this class extended, you mentioned, for a year. Can you just give us a time frame for that?
Yeah, so let's see. I believe she did start coming the fall that she first got employed, or not long after that. And then she continued going throughout that year. And then I think that summer also, the summer previous to that fall, she was training with Emma to do a 5K.
Okay. And so that would have been what you're saying. It sounds like maybe fall 2018 through fall 2019.
Yes, that is correct.
And on the day before Tammy died, did you have an opportunity to interact with her?
Yes, she was the computer, right? The computer teacher, and also the librarian. That day, she did lunch count. When you take your kids to lunch, she would mark them off as they came through the lunch line. And so I did see her that day.
Okay, and how did she appear to you?
As always, she was happy, jovial. As the kids would come through the lunch line, she would smile at them, pay them compliments.
Did you observe her coughing?
No.
Did she complain about being sick?
No.
And you're aware that the next day that she passed away, correct?
Yes.
Was there anything else about the timing of her death that you found odd?
Yeah, I mean, Friday I see her at school. Things are great. And the next morning I hear that she's passed.
Was there anything about the funeral details that struck you?
Yes.
What was that?
The fact.
I'm going to object to relevance.
Overruled.
We all wanted to honor Tammy. And
I'm objecting to we. This is about her experience, not everyone else.
I will sustain that. If you could just rephrase the question, Ms. Rawlings,
Right.
please.
she wanted, okay, the people in that community, sorry, I don't know how to say it, but
Well,
they
ma'am,
wanted to honor her.
Hold on. I've sustained an objection, so we just need to have a new question now.
So we're talking about your personal observations and what struck you and what you observed. So what struck you about the funeral details? What did you observe?
Okay. There was going to be no funeral.
Okay.
And the people at my school wanted to honor her. And the people in that community wanted to honor her. And so my administrator talked to Chad and said we would like to do something.
I'll object, Your Honor, to hearsay.
That is sustained as a hearsay objection, so I'm sorry, you can't say what someone else
Okay,
told you.
sorry. So anyway, my principal planned it. He printed off the programs. He basically put it together.
Okay. And now, are you aware, this was, I think you're talking about in the Sugar Salem area.
Yes.
So this was a memorial service for Tammy in that area.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, who helped plan that and put the programs together?
My school administrator.
Okay. And then do you know if there was a funeral anywhere else?
There was one in Utah,
Okay.
in their hometown.
Okay. I don't believe I have any other questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Okay, y'all. Now that was witness Daybell, not Daybell, but Tammy. Yeah, Tammy. Daybell 911 call. Now it was some foam, pink foam coming out of her mouth. What is that pink stuff coming out of her mouth? That allegedly, I can't say this, but I'm not gonna say it. So the pink, when you say pink, you think about what? You think about medicine. You think about some kind of formula. I wonder what was that in her mouth to make you foam up to be pink? Yeah, okay. Y'all give me your reaction, what you just heard from the 911, call, and before and after, the way Tammy was. 'Cause Tammy wasn't sick at all, y'all. She wasn't sick at all. And that pink phone is unusual. So I appreciate y'all being here. Like, share, and subscribe. Uh, I appreciate y'all. I'm out.